Good morning, everybody. Well, and welcome to worship with Community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. My name's Mary Kay Peters, and I'm serving as your worship associate this morning. Whether you're attending online or in person, I'm glad you decided to join us for worship, especially visitors to the church. Welcome, special welcome. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities, a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities, and a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. So whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this community. And just a word, if you're joining us online, we encourage you to log in and use your YouTube account, and that way you can have access to the comments online, and you can share joys and concerns that you might want to during the worship service, and also just greet other online attendees. And we also encourage you to share something about how the service connected with you. So we hope you'll lean into this service and enjoy it. For those here in person, you're invited to go down to the common room for coffee and conversation after the service. And our speaker today is the First Unitarian Membership Coordinator and Seminarian Melissa Gibson. So she'll be speaking about a topic that is close to her heart, banned books. And we also at this time, I want to acknowledge that our church occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Otoe, Missouri tribal nations whose sovereignty existed long before this state of Nebraska. We would also like to express our respect to the Northern Ponca tribe of Nebraska, the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, and the Santee Sioux tribe of Nebraska, and also over 170 other tribes that we coexist with here in the Omaha area. And at First Unitarian Church of Omaha, we invite all to join us to try to go beyond acknowledgments by educating ourselves and supporting the causes, charities, and rights of Indigenous peoples in the local area. And now our prelude by Jay Goff. Thank you, Jay. All right, and we have a special chalice lighting today that I found. It's called Band Book Chalice Lighting. And Melissa? Am I lighting? Yeah, we're gonna have Melissa light the chalice, unless Terry Lynn or somebody wants to come up and do it spontaneously. So it's in the order of service, if you guys all want to say it along with me. We light this chalice, remembering the freedoms long established in our nation, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom from the establishment of religion. We light this chalice, honoring those who exemplify protecting those freedoms: librarians, booksellers, teachers, authors, journalists. We light this chalice so that by its light we may read all the books, books with archaic language, books with offensive material, books which affirm the diversity of the human race, books which normalize our varied sexualities, books which share multidimensional perspectives of history. May we bask in the glow of its light this morning as we illuminate, brighten, and radiate because of the books we have read and the books we have yet to read. Thank you. And our call to worship is from On the Pulse of the Morning by Maya Angelou. Here, on the pulse of this new day, may you have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and simply say, very simply, with hope, good morning. And now we're gonna rise if you're able and feel like doing it and sing hymn 44, We Sing of Golden Mornings. For our time for all ages. We're actually going to do a song, so we've got lyrics to show, and it's to the tune of I've Got the Joy, Joy, Joy down in my heart. So take it away, Melissa.
Okay, I wanted to go ahead and invite the kids up, if any kids want to join me up here. Can you hear me now? Okay. So let me invite the kids up. So if you are a kid or young at heart, feel free to come up here with me. Parker, you don't want to come up here with me? Yeah, come up. Reese, No? Okay. No? Okay, so just Parker. Fine. He's my favorite one anyway. Okay, so Parker, do you want to help me sing a song? Thank you. Good, thank you. So, do you like books? So, yes, graphic novels, manga. Do you think those adults out there like books? You think they know how to read? Yeah. Your mom? Okay, so mom knows how to read. Great. Okay, so for my song, we need to do some movements too. So, what movement would you do for I've got a book in my hand? Well, would you maybe grab a book and you could hold it in your hand? Okay, so hold it up, and maybe when we sing about we've got books in our hands, we'll hold up our book. And then when we say up on our shelves, what might we do with that book? Put it back. And what if we say here in my church? What might we do? Not with the book necessarily. So we put it back on the shelf. And here at my church, go like this. Okay, that sounds good. You could stamp your foot maybe here in my church, right? Like that. Okay, and then if we up in my mind, what might we do? Yeah. What about like this? Point to your brain. What was your? Well, maybe I didn't. Okay. Oh, okay. What is that? That doesn't mean. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not. I'm not sure which X-Men is what. So, what's this? Okay. No. Okay. Do whatever you want. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and sing our song, and you can do the motions with us if you would like. Okay, let's go ahead and we're gonna try it. I've got the band. I guess we made up some new lyrics. Sorry. I'm the writer, so I can do that. All right, so the kids can go ahead and head to their religious education classes today.
Choir. All right, the band book party is over. We're moving on to the community offering portion. So every week, we take up an offering in support of our liberal religious values, and one half of the loose currency in the offering plate is donated to a different cause each month, one with a local presence, which advances our UU principles. And our share of the plate recipient for April is NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI is a grassroots organization dedicated to education, support, and advocacy for anyone whose life has been touched by mental illness. And then Jay's gonna play Both Sides Now for us. And now it's time in the service for joys and concerns. And so I'm going to invite Colin up, because I think we've got some from the back of the church. I'm not seeing any online.
From Kindness Brian. He has a co-worker, George Keller, who was involved in a car wreck on Saturday, April 6th, sending healing thoughts his way. From Russell Porter. Then he says that Lynn and I attended our first service a year ago on April 19th. Is that 9th? April 9th. April 9th. We belong here. And from Terry Lynn, thoughts to Ron and Ann Knapp. Ron is in, I don't know if it's hospital or hospice. Hospice. Ron is in hospice, so definitely sending some thoughts their way.
Okay, and now we're just going to take a moment to center. And if you want to join me in our centering song, it's hymn 123, Spirit of Life. And Spirit of life, please come to all of us and help us in our everyday living to work together for a more just and equitable world and transform this world that we live in forever, for everybody. And my reading that I chose is The Caged Bird. I know why the caged bird sings. I grew up in high school with this book on our shelf, and I know it's been banned. Back in the 70s and 80s, it was one of the most popular banned books. But this is a poem by Maya. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing on the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream, his wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. And now, I would like to invite the sanctuary singers up here for Oceans and Stars.
Good morning. As Mary Kay mentioned earlier, my name is Melissa Gibson. I'm the membership coordinator here at First Unitarian, and occasionally they let me do a sermon. So thank you to the worship team and to the congregation for having me up here again. So before I begin, I would like to offer a content warning about today's sermon. I make brief references to sexual violence, so if you feel inclined to leave the sanctuary at any point, please feel free to do so. So in 2023, more books were challenged in the United States than ever before. The American Library Association put the number at 4,240 titles. That's almost a 50% increase from the previous record of 2,571 titles, which was set in 2022. I'll be honest, after I settled on this topic more than a month ago, I wondered if it was truly a worthwhile subject. So many things we see on the news are given inflated importance. Am I just feeding into outrage politics? Is book banning really a problem? Is this sermon just clickbait? But upon finding those numbers about recent book challenges, those numbers aren't lies. Books are absolutely being challenged across our country in record numbers. This trend has even hit close to home. Last month, Nebraska State Senator Steve Halloran was in the news for reading a passage from Lucky, a memoir by Alice Sebold, on the Capitol floor. He read aloud an explicit rape scene, one that happened to the author when she was a teenager. Senator Halloran called the book a how to rape manual. His comments and actions that day were over the top and resulted in calls for his resignation from both sides of the aisle and garnered national attention. The bill being discussed that day, LB 441, essentially sought to increase censorship in public and school libraries by making librarians vulnerable to prosecution for providing minors with obscene material. The good news, that bill failed, because we all know that librarians do not provide obscene materials to minors. Librarians are trained professionals who curate collections for our children, and they deserve our trust. Despite the bad press, Senator Halloran cannot understand why people aren't more outraged that books like Lucky are available at some school libraries. So, why is Lucky available at schools and even part of some English curriculum? We are now all aware of its graphic nature. The book, all 272 pages of the author's memoir, puts that experience into perspective. That book is not its most explicit passage. As Nebraska State Senator John Kavanaugh put it, there are graphic scenes in books, and graphic things happen to people in life. Stories have context, and they give meaning to the people who read them and feel alone. By 18, 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 20 boys experience sexual abuse or assault. Sexual violence actually happens to school-aged children. We certainly don't have to like that, but I think our kids can handle reading about it. Finding your experience in a story when you feel alone in the world, that can be life-saving. But denying ugly truths about the society we live in is certainly nothing new. In 1637, in what is now Quincy, Massachusetts, our Puritan ancestors were credited with the first book ban in the New World. The government banned New English Canon by Thomas Morton, claiming that it was a harsh and heretical critique of Puritan power structures. He, a colonist himself, was particularly critical of the treatment of Native people. The community exiled Morton twice. His nickname was the Lord of Misrule. Morton was somewhat of an anti-authoritarian celebrity in his day, a true anti-hero in the puritanical landscape of America's beginnings. It is almost 400 years later, and we still see this battle for control of reading material raging before us. Who is fanning these flames? Moms for Liberty is perhaps the most well-known culprit, our very own Twisted Puritans of 2024. Their website, I visited it, so you don't have to. It's actually pretty innocuous. It features lots of photos of children and parents smiling and quotes from our founding fathers. They seem to be big fans of John Adams, our country's first Unitarian president. Moms for Liberty, they appear pretty grassroots, but well-organized, well-funded, well-connected. Their site has a campaign kit for those interested in running for their local school boards, and there's even a spot where you can reserve your very own Moms for Liberty speaker. The site often offers parent resources on a variety of topics, including gender identity, critical race theory, restorative justice, and books. Again, you click through the links and nothing seems too terribly alarming. I admit their site does an excellent job of promoting their agenda very positively. If you're a concerned parent looking for information about how to better be involved in your child's public education, they lead you to believe that you've really found an understanding ally. Their true story, however, is much more sinister and takes quite a bit of time and clicks to get there. One co-founder of Moms for Liberty refers to the National Education Association as the K-12 cartel. She labels all teacher unions as terrorist organizations. In media interviews, members call people who support trans and non-binary kids predators. Moms for Liberty has a history of using their social media platforms to target individual teachers and school officials. They advocate for the abolition of the Department of Education, promote conspiracy theories, and they are really riled up about anything to do with the LGBTQ community. Moms for Liberty has had temporary bans on most social media platforms, and members across the country have been barred from school grounds due to their behavior and remarks at school board meetings. The Southern Poverty Law Center labeled Moms for Liberty a hate group, an anti-government extremist entity. They likened Moms for Liberty to the parent groups that attempted to resegregate public schools during the civil rights movement. While I'd say their favorite activity is endorsing school board members who don't even think there should be school boards, a close second is challenging books in classrooms and school libraries. Not because they really care about books, but because they really care about theatrics and clogging up an already full system. A recent study found Moms for Liberty chapters were tied to more than 80% of books challenged in school districts. Looking closer to home, the Iowa chapter of Moms for Liberty has a 111-page document that details books they find sexually explicit, vulgar, and/or obscene. Titles on this list include The Bluest Eye, The Hate You Give, and Slaughterhouse-Five. They list which Iowa public schools have the books in their libraries, and in some cases, they provide copies of teachers' syllabi that use the books in class. Each title also gets its very own graphic table where swear words and the number of times they're used are tallied. There are screenshots and scans of the passages and illustrations they find offensive. I admit that even I raised my eyebrows a bit to some of them. But in this 111 pages, there is absolutely no context given, no attempts to provide nuance or understanding, no plea for critical thinking, just the most salacious pieces of a work of artistic expression put on a page to invoke outrage, and that's what they want. In less than 3 years, Moms for Liberty's actions have spread like wildfire, with chapters cropping up across the country. Book challenges and bans in our schools hit new records every year. State governments, our own included, are looking to defund public education under the guise of school choice. These are not coincidences. They want to breed distrust in public institutions of all kinds, especially schools. The end game is to disassemble our public schools and put religious and for-profit entities in their place. Book banning is just a simple rung in the ladder. Author and retired special education teacher Nancy Bailey says, "Political groups have monopolized and dictated how teachers should teach, the books students can read, and history as they see it. As schools are forced to restrict societal change, dismissing differences that make us who we are, and parents send their students to schools based on economic level, race, and religious beliefs, Americans become more divided. This does not end well. This is not liberty. As far as I can tell, Moms for Liberty hasn't called for the removal of dictionaries yet, so perhaps they need to look this up. Liberty is the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions, imposing by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views. How is it possible to miss the point so entirely? What they're doing ain't liberty." So if you please join me and take a moment to breathe, collect yourself, enjoy a few moments of meditative music. Feel free to close your eyes and just enjoy the piano, but if you're so inclined, I've prepared a slideshow of often challenged books and the accusations against them over the years, which will appear on the monitor. So did you recognize any of those titles? So many of the books challenged on that slideshow have faced years, and in some cases, decades of criticism. But I would like to be clear, I do not advocate for violence against fathers. Please do not hop on pop. So while so many issues can feel overwhelming and hopeless, this is an area where we can win. While book challenges are up, actual book banning remains wildly unpopular. Last year in Plattsmouth, a small town less than 20 miles away from where we sit, a school board member advocated for removing 52 titles from public and school libraries, mostly focused, not surprisingly, on LGBTQ and racial themes. This same board member laughed about being called a Nazi and posted to social media the personal contact information of the private citizen who filed a recall petition against her. She's been a speaker at Moms for Liberty meetings and called the group a great organization. Of the 52 books she presented, only one was removed, and on January 9th of this year, the voters of Plattsmouth successfully recalled the now former school board member. Bless her heart. Even Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who supported legislation that has resulted in the most massive book challenges in our nation's history, has called extremist groups bad actors who are wasting taxpayer time and money with frivolous challenges. Unsurprisingly, he has yet to take any accountability for his actions in causing this problem, but he has admitted that there's a problem, so it's a start. More good news, those school board candidates trained up by that hate group I mentioned earlier, more often than not, they're losing. We need to keep it that way. You've heard it a million times to stay engaged in local politics and to vote, but there are plenty of other things to do too. Read banned books, share them with children in your life. First Unitarian member Lynn Porter and I have collected a few of the challenged books on the shelf here, and you are more than welcome to come up, grab one, and take it home today. There is a bill in the House of Representatives known as the Fight Book Bans Act, H.R. 6592. This federal legislation would provide grants to school districts to cover expenses they encounter while fighting book challenges. Check out political action groups who are committing time and money to helping find and train local school board candidates who are combating extremism. See what nonprofits like United Against Book Bans and the Freedom to Read Foundation are up to. Join a book club. At any given time, there are at least 2 going on at this church, and right now, there are 4. I provided a handout at both entrances that has that information about those book clubs. You do not need to be a member to attend those, but if you are interested in being a member, you can speak to me. In the words of Sonia Douglas, a professor at Teachers College, book bans diminish the quality of education students have access to and restrict their exposure to important perspectives that form the fabric of a culturally pluralistic society like the United States. It's a battle over the soul of the country in many ways. It's about what we teach young people about our country and what we determine to be the truth. There's a lot at stake here. I want you to leave here knowing that this is absolutely a winning battle, but we must stay vigilant. Our school boards need to hear that we support our teachers and school librarians. Book banning is never the right side of history. We can cut this off at the head. It wasn't about drinking fountains. It isn't about bathrooms. And it's not really about books. Ashe, amen, and blessed be.
Okay, now we're going to join together in our closing hymn, which is 1028 in the teal hymnal, Fire of Commitment. Please be seated. Our closing words are once again from Maya Angelou from On the Pulse of Morning. Lift up your faces, you have a piercing need for this bright morning dawning for you. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for a new beginning. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. Lift up your eyes. Upon this day breaking for you, give birth again to the dream. And forever and ever, tell your stories and listen to the stories of others. That's my addition. Amen and blessed be.